On May 11, 2011, in Aurora, Illinois, a peaceful suburb 40 miles west of Chicago, 6-year-old Timothy James Pitson hurried toward Greenman Elementary School, his Spider-Man backpack bouncing brightly. His father, Jim Pitson, stood at the gate, calling, "I love you, be good." Timothy, with tousled brown hair and curious brown eyes, grinned widely. At 4 feet 2 inches and 70 pounds, he was tall for his age, often mistaken for a first grader. His infectious joy and endless questions made him a beloved kindergartner. Timothy lived with his parents, Jim and Amy Fry Pitson, in a modest brick home nestled among Aurora's tree-lived streets. Jim, a machinist, was a steady father coaching Timothy's t-ball games. Amy, 43, was a devoted mother, her warmth masking struggles with depression and past suicide attempts. Her fourth marriage to Jim was strained, a recent solo cruise sparking argument. Yet to Timothy, Amy was a source of love, choosing his unique name with 2M to make him feel special. At 8:10 IMing, barely an hour after Jim's drop-off, Amy arrived at Greenman, her face composed. Claiming a family emergency, she signed Timothy out without scrutiny, her maternal authority unquestioned. By 8:35 IMing, they were gone from the school's lively halls. Amy drove her 2004 Ford Expedition to a repair shop at 10 o'clock IMing, offering no hints of her plans. When Jim returned that afternoon, the news hit like a thunderbolt. His son had been taken by Amy. No emergency existed. Amy had embarked on an impromptu road trip with Timothy, a journey that seemed playful but carried dark undertones. Their first stop was Brookfield Zoo, where Timothy's eyes sparkled at elephants and giraffes. He pressed his hands against exhibit glass, giggling with wonder. Amy watched, her smile strained, her thoughts concealed. To onlookers, they were a mother and son enjoying a spring day, unaware of the mystery unfolding. That evening, they checked into Key Lime Cove, a water park resort in Gurnee, Illinois, filled with splashing children. Timothy raced down slides, his toy fire truck left on a chair, his laughter echoing. Amy sat nearby, her gaze distant but calm, nodding at his chatter. Staff saw nothing unusual, assuming a typical family getaway. Beneath the surface, Amy's actions were deliberate, her motives locked away, setting the stage for a deepening enigma. On May 12th, Amy drove north to the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin, a vibrant water park 170 miles from Aurora. Surveillance footage captured them hand in hand, Timothy's face alight as he navigated a wave pool wearing a green t-shirt. Amy, in sunglasses, appeared unhurried, her interactions brief. The footage, later reviewed by police, became a haunting record of Timothy's final documented moments, a fleeting glimpse of innocence. By evening on May 12th, Jim, frantic, reported Amy and Timothy missing to Aurora police. His voice trembled as he urged action, but Amy's silence fueled dread. The department issued alerts describing Timothy, a 6-year-old with brown hair, last seen in green shorts, flyers with his photo. A boy with bright eyes appeared across Aurora, taped to lampposts and storefronts, a desperate plea for his return. Aurora, a city of 180,000, was shaken. Greenman Elementary's kindergarten classroom, where Timothy loved story time, felt empty. His teacher, Cheryl Broach, recalled his curiosity. He'd ask why rivers flowed, then listen so intently. Classmates, too young to grasp the gravity, wondered if he was sick. Yellow ribbons tied by Girl Scouts fluttered on school fences, a quiet symbol of hope that drew news cameras and prayer. Timothy's grandmother, Alana Anderson, arrived at Jim's home, her face etched with worry. "He's alive, I believe it," she told reporters, her voice resolute. Alana, close to Amy, knew her struggles but was blindsided by her actions. She clutched a photo of Timothy at a zoo, his smile radiant. Jim, tormented by his son's absence, told Fox 8, "I don't know where he is," his words raw with pain. The community mobilized, driven by urgency. Neighbors printed flyers while businesses donated supplies. "He's our kid too," said Pastor Emily Ruiz, leading a prayer group at First Baptist Church. The yellow ribbons multiplied, tied to trees, a vow to keep searching. Parents held their children closer, shaken by the breach of Aurora's suburban safety, a town now defined by loss. Systemic flaws surfaced early. Aurora schools' lax pickup policies allowed Amy to take Timothy without verification. a loophole that stunned parents. How could they not check? Jim asked, his anger palpable. The Amber Alert's delay, due to Amy's parental status, cost critical hours. A stranger would have triggered faster action, a family friend told WLS-TV. These gaps fueled calls for reform, though the focus remained on finding Timothy. On May 13, Amy's actions grew elusive. At 1:30 p.m., she called her mother and Jim's brother from near Sterling, Illinois, assuring them Timothy was safe. Timothy's voice saying, "I'm hungry," was a fleeting sign of life. Amy turned off her phone, evading tracking. That evening at 7:25 p.m., she was seen alone at a Family Dollar in Winnebago, buying a pen, paper, and envelopes, her demeanor distracted. At 8:00 p.m., Amy visited Sullivan's Foods, still alone. By 11:15 p.m., she checked into the Rockford Inn in Rockford, Illinois. On May 14, at 12:30 p.m., a maid found Amy's body, having died by suicide with slashed wrists, a cut neck, and an antihistamine overdose. A note beside her read, "Timothy is safe with people who love him. You'll never find him." A message that offered hope, yet crushed Jim's heart. Police found Amy's Ford Expedition in the motel lot, its undercarriage caked with grass and dirt, suggesting a rural stop. Blood in the back seat, identified as Timothy's, alarmed investigators, but a family member linked it to a nosebleed. "It's plausible, but haunting," Detective Lee Cadavu said. The missing items? Amy's phone, Timothy's backpack, his toys, deepened the mystery, pointing to a deliberate plan. Aurora reeled from the news. Neighbors debated Amy's mental health, some defending her love for Timothy. She'd never hurt him, a friend told CNN. Others questioned her stability. The community braced for answers, unaware Timothy's fate would remain unresolved. The yellow ribbons, now a fixture, symbolized Aurora's refusal to forget, a town forever changed by a boy's absence. The case's early days drew national attention. ABC and NBC ran Timothy's story, his photo, a boy with a toy truck, etched into public consciousness. "Where is Timothy?" headlines asked, fueling speculation. Was Amy's note truth or delusion? The ambiguity gripped Aurora, a wound that refused to heal, setting the stage for a mystery that would endure. As the disappearance of Timothy Pitson gripped Aurora, Illinois on May 12, 2011, the community's resolve hardened. The Aurora Police Department's alert, issued late that evening, described the 6-year-old, 4 feet 2 inches, 70 pounds, brown hair, last seen in green shorts. Flyers bearing Timothy's bright smile flooded the city, taped to lampposts, storefronts, and car windshield. Volunteers, fueled by fear and hope, vowed to bring him home, their efforts a beacon in a town shaken by an unthinkable breach of safety. Search parties fanned out across Aurora's west side, their boots crunching through parks, vacant lots, and the muddy banks of the Fox River. "We turned over every stone near Greenman School," said Sarah Freeland, a neighbor, her voice heavy with exhaustion. Police organized door-to-door canvasses, knocking on homes and questioning residents. Timothy's kindergarten teacher, Cheryl Broach, tearfully recounted Amy Fry Pitson's composed pickup. "She gave no hint of trouble," Broach said, haunted by the memory. Investigators pieced together Amy's movements, relying on receipts and witness accounts. A Brookfield Zoo receipt from May 11, time-stamped 11:30 ILME, confirmed their visit, where Timothy's joy at seeing elephants was infectious. That night, they stayed at Key Lime Cove in Gurnee, Illinois. On May 12, surveillance footage from the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin, captured Timothy clutching his toy fire truck, his face alight. These images, later shared, became cherished fragments of his final known moments. Police scoured hours of CCTV footage from gas stations and toll booths along Interstate 90, hoping to spot Amy's blue 2004 Ford Expedition. Cell phone records revealed calls to her mother and Jim Pitson's brother on May 13th, placed near Sterling, Illinois, 80 miles west of Aurora. In one call, Timothy's small voice said, "I'm hungry." A fleeting lifeline that pierced Jim's heart. Amy's habit of turning off her phone frustrated tracking, leaving a trail that faded into the Midwest's expanse. The search faced formidable obstacles, each compounding the urgency. The Midwest's vast rural landscape, Endless fields, dense forests, and winding rivers offered countless hiding spots. Rain on May 13 turned search paths into treacherous mud, slowing volunteers and obscuring potential evidence. Amy's unexplained trips to Sterling in February and March 2011 baffled police. What was she planning there? Detective Lee Katavu wondered, poring over a map of the isolated farmland, his frustration mounting. Glimmers of hope kept the search alive, though they often dissolved. A store clerk in Racine, Wisconsin, reported seeing Amy buying children's clothes on May 12 but couldn't confirm Timothy's presence. A gas station receipt from Johnson Creek, Wisconsin, showed Amy purchasing snacks, possibly for her son. Near Sterling, a passerby claimed to have seen a woman resembling Amy with a boy, but the description was vague. "It's like chasing ghosts," an officer told the Chicago Tribune, exhaustion in his voice. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, amplified the effort, distributing age-progressed images of Timothy to broaden the search's reach. The FBI joined, analyzing Amy's phone records and iPass toll data, which tracked her movements across Illinois and Wisconsin. A tip, line 63025677756, buzzed with calls, but most led to dead ends. One caller swore they saw Timothy at a Wisconsin diner, but CCTV footage disproved it. Another cruel twist. Aurora's community bore a heavy emotional toll. Jim, unable to sleep, joined search parties, his hands gripping Timothy's favorite toy, fire truck, its red paint chipped from play. "I can't stop looking," he told a reporter, his eyes hollow with grief. Alana Anderson, Timothy's grandmother, prayed daily, her voice steady as she told WLS-TV, "I know he's out there." Green Man Elementary hosted a candlelit vigil where students tied yellow ribbons to a fence, their small hands trembling. The vigil drew hundreds, their faces etched with shared sorrow. Parents hugged their children tighter, shaken by the violation of Aurora's suburban safety. "You think this can happen here?" said Linda Torres, a mother of two, as she tied a ribbon. The yellow ribbons fluttering in the spring breeze became Aurora's symbol of hope, a quiet defiance against the growing fear that Timothy might never return. Local news captured the scene, amplifying the call for answers. Systemic failures fueled community outrage. Aurora schools' lax pickup policies allowed Amy to take Timothy without verification, a loophole that stunned parents. "How could they let him go like that?" Jim asked, his frustration raw. The Amber Alert's delay, due to the case being classified as a parental abduction, cost critical hours. "If it was a stranger, we'd have mobilized instantly," an officer confided to a colleague, shaking his head. The search intensity surged after Amy's suicide on May 14th, discovered at the Rockford Inn in Rockford, Illinois. Her note, "Timothy is safe with people who love him and will care for him. You'll never find him," shifted the focus. Was Timothy alive, entrusted to others? Police scoured Rockford's streams and fields, dreading a grim discovery. The blood in Amy's Ford Expedition, later tied to a nosebleed, briefly raised alarm. "Every clue feels like a double-edged sword," Katavu told CNN. The absence of Amy's cell phone, Timothy's Spider-Man backpack, and their resort clothes suggested a deliberate plan. "She didn't want us to follow," an investigator noted, studying the motel's sparse evidence. The notes promised that Timothy was safe, clashed with the grim reality of Amy's death, leaving police to wrestle with a puzzle that defied resolution. The blood, though explained, lingered in Jim's mind, a nagging doubt he couldn't shake. The search expanded beyond Illinois, with tips pouring in from Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota. Most were false positives, draining resources and morale. "Every call could be the one," Katavu said, though his optimism waned. Volunteers dwindled as weeks passed, their initial fervor giving way to fatigue. Jim, however, pressed on, trudging through rain-soaked fields, calling Timothy's name, his voice hoarse but unyielding. The community efforts persisted despite setbacks. Local businesses printed thousands of flyers, and churches held weekly prayer services. "We're a family here," said Pastor Emily Ruiz, leading a vigil at Aurora's First Baptist Church. The yellow ribbons, now faded, remained tied to trees, a silent testament to the town's resolve. News outlets like ABC and NBC kept Timothy's face in the public eye, broadcasting his story to millions, urging anyone with information to come forward. Social media, though nascent in 2011, played a growing role. Facebook pages dedicated to Timothy sprang up, with users sharing his photo and speculating about Amy's motives. "Someone knows something," one post read, garnering hundreds of shares. The online buzz kept pressure on authorities but also spread unverified rumors, complicating the search. "We're drowning in noise," an officer complained, sifting through tips ranging from plausible to outlandish. The emotional strain on investigators was palpable. Katavu, a veteran detective, admitted the case haunted him. "You go home, but you don't leave it behind," he told a colleague, staring at Timothy's photo. The team worked grueling hours, driven by the image of a boy who loved Spider-Man and water parks. For Jim and Alana, the wait was torture. "It's like living in a nightmare," Alana told the Chicago Sun-Times, her voice barely above a whisper. Aurora's sense of security was shattered. Parents began escorting their children to school, wary of every stranger. "You can't trust anyone anymore," said Maria Gonzalez, a Green Man parent. The case sparked community meetings, where residents demanded better school safety measures. "Timothy's absence is our wake-up call," a local councilman declared, pledging to overhaul pickup protocols. The tragedy was already reshaping Aurora, even as hope for Timothy's return dimmed. The search's early phase was a race against time, but time was winning. The Midwest's vastness, Amy's elusive movements, and the lack of physical evidence created a perfect storm of frustration. "It's like she planned to vanish," Katavu mused, tracing her route on a map. The note, the blood, the missing items, all hinted at a purpose, but its meaning remained locked in Amy's mind, a secret she took to her grave, leaving Aurora to grapple with an unresolved mystery. The investigation into Timothy Pitson's disappearance, launched on May 12, 2011 by the Aurora Police Department, took a haunting turn after Amy Fry Pitson's suicide on May 14. Led by Detective Lee Katavu, the team faced a perplexing mystery: a missing 6-year-old, a cryptic note, and no body. "This isn't a typical abduction," Katavu told CNN, his voice heavy. Amy's note, "Timothy is safe, you'll never find him," offered hope but no answers, taunting investigators with its ambiguity. Investigators reconstructed Amy's final days, piecing together a fragmented timeline. Surveillance footage confirmed Amy and Timothy at Brookfield Zoo on May 11, his excitement palpable. That night they stayed at Key Lime Cove in Gurnee, Illinois. On May 12, Kalahari resort footage in Wisconsin Dells showed Timothy with his toy truck. After May 12, Timothy vanished from record. "It's like he evaporated," an investigator said, the void consuming their efforts. On May 13, Amy's movements turned solitary. At 7:25 p.m., she was spotted alone at a Family Dollar in Winnebago, Illinois, buying a pen, paper, and envelopes. Items linked to her note. At 8:00 p.m., she entered Sullivan's Foods, still without Timothy. By 11:15 p.m., she checked into the Rockford Inn in Rockford, Illinois. On May 14, a maid found Amy's body at 12:30 p.m., having died by suicide with slashed wrists and an overdose. Forensic analysis of Amy's Ford Expedition yielded clues. Grass and dirt on the undercarriage suggested a rural stop, possibly near a stream. Blood in the back seat, identified as Timothy's, sparked alarm, but a family member attributed it to a nosebleed. "It's plausible, but unsettling," Katavu said. The absence of Amy's phone, Timothy's backpack, and their resort clothes pointed to a deliberate plan, deepening the enigma of a possible handoff. Cell phone records offered a faint trail. On May 13, Amy called family from near Sterling, Illinois at 1:30 p.m. Timothy's voice, saying he was hungry, was his last trace. Amy's prior trips to Sterling in February and March 2011 raised questions. Was she meeting someone? Katavu asked, interviewing locals. No one recognized them, leaving the trip's purpose a mystery, a recurring frustration in the case. Evidence suggested Amy's troubled mental state. Friends said she feared losing custody due to her depression and past suicide attempts. Her marriage to Jim was crumbling, divorce looming. She thought a judge would take him, Alana Anderson, Timothy's grandmother, told CNN. Amy's note, written with the Winnebago pen, implied she entrusted Timothy to others, a final act to secure his future. or so she believed. Investigators explored two main theories. The primary hypothesis was that Amy handed Timo to someone, a friend, religious group, or unknown party. Her Mormon conversion sparked speculation about a church connection, but Midwest Mormon communities yielded no leads. A darker theory suggested Amy killed Timo, hiding his body to keep him safe. The blood and missing items lent credence, but no remains were found, and his calm voice on May 13th undermined this idea. Witness accounts were scarce. A Winnebago clerk described Amy as distracted but alone. A Sterling farmer reported seeing a woman and boy but couldn't confirm identities. Tips from Iowa to Michigan flooded in, but none panned out. The FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit profiled Amy as methodical, suggesting planning. She didn't act impulsively, an agent said, adding to the sense of a calculated disappearance. Systemic flaws hampered progress. Aurora schools' lax pickup policies allowed Amy's ruse, shocking investigators. The delayed Amber Alert, due to the parental abduction label, cost hours. "We need better protocols," said NCMEC's Angeline Hartman. The emotional toll was immense. Kadavu admitted, "You see his face every night staring at Timothy's photo." Jim's guilt consumed him. "I failed him," he told. Alana clung to hope, saying, "I feel him in my heart," to WLS-TV. Aurora grappled with fear. "It's like we lost a piece of us," said Maria Gonzalez, a parent. Yellow ribbons symbolized resolve. Though answers eluded them, online forums buzzed with theories. Some believed Timothy lived under a new identity, but without evidence, they remained speculation, fueling frustration in a case that defied closure. Timothy Pitson's disappearance, unresolved since May 2011, left an indelible scar on Aurora, Illinois. After Amy Fry Pitson's suicide on May 14, 2011, no arrests were made as no evidence of a crime beyond her abduction of Timothy emerged. Aurora police, led by Detective Lee Kadavu, kept the case open, chasing every tip. "We're committed to Timothy," Chief Kristen Ziman said. In 2021, the absence of closure tormented Jim Pitson, who told NBC Chicago in 2022, "I think he'll find me someday." A 2019 hoax shattered fragile hope. On April 3, a young man in Newport, Kentucky, claimed to be Timothy, alleging he escaped kidnappers. DNA tests identified him as Brian Michael Reaney, a 23-year-old ex-convict. Sentenced to 2 years for identity fraud, Reaney admitted learning about Timothy from a 20/20 episode. "It was devastating," Timothy's aunt, Kara Jacobs, told reporters. Jim withdrew briefly, while Alana Anderson, his grandmother, vowed, "We won't let lies stop us." Aurora's community refused to forget Timothy. Greenman Elementary's Girl Scouts, who tied yellow ribbons in 2011, held annual vigils. "He's still our classmate," a former student wrote in 2023. In 2020, a mural of Timothy's smile adorned a community center funded by donations. "It says we haven't given up," said artist Miguel Torres. The ribbons and mural became Aurora's emblems of hope, symbols of a town determined to honor a missing boy. Timothy's case drove systemic change. Aurora schools, criticized for lax pickup policies, adopted strict ID checks. "Timothy changed us," Principal John Smith told the Aurora Beacon. The case exposed Amber Alert delays in parental abductions, prompting NCMEC to advocate for reform. "One tragedy can save others," said Angeline Hartman. Schools nationwide tightened protocols, a quiet legacy born from heartbreak, ensuring Timothy's absence sparked lasting improvements in child safety. Media kept Timothy's story alive. Episodes on Live PD 2020, Real Life Nightmare 2021, and The Hunt with John Walsh sparked tips. Age-progressed images depicting a teen with Timothy's eyes stirred public interest. "Someone knows something," Jim told ABC News in 2022. Though most tips led nowhere, the exposure maintained pressure on investigators, a reminder that Timothy's fate remained unresolved. His smile, etched in national memory. Jim and Alana became tireless advocates. Jim spoke at NCMEC events urging vigilance. "Look at every kid," he said in 2023, voice cracking. Alana kept a journal of Timothy's memories, like his love for fire trucks. "I write so he knows we love him," she told Wisson. Their resilience inspired Aurora, turning personal loss into a call for awareness. ensuring Timothy's story fueled efforts to protect other children. Speculation about Timothy's fate persisted, fueled by Amy's note. Some believed he lived under a new identity, perhaps unaware of his past. He could be anyone's neighbor, a Reddit user wrote. Others feared Amy's safety claim hid a darker truth, though no body was found. The ambiguity tormented investigators who refused to close the case. "It's an open wound," Katavu told the Chicago Tribune in 2024. Aurora's psyche was transformed. "Timothy shattered our sense of safety," said Maria Gonzalez, a Green Man parent. Community meetings pushed for enhanced school security. "We owe it to him," a councilman said in 2021, unveiling new measures. The yellow ribbons, faded but enduring, symbolized vigilance, a pledge to never look away. Timothy's absence became a catalyst for change, reshaping how Aurora protected its children. The emotional toll on investigators lingered. Tavu called Timothy's case his "one that got away." "You carry it forever," he said, his desk still holding Timothy's file. The team's dedication, driven by a boy who loved water parks, never wavered. "We'll find him or die trying," an officer vowed. For Jim and Alana, the wait was agony. Their hope battered but unbroken, a testament to their love. Timothy's legacy extended beyond Aurora. His case highlighted the plight of missing children, over 400,000 annually per NCMEC, spurring advocacy for stronger laws. "Timothy taught us to listen," Kara Jacobs told People. Social media kept his story alive, with posts like, "He'd be 20 now" in 2025, sharing age-progressed images. Though no answers came, the buzz ensured Timothy remained unforgotten, his mystery a call to action.
Some stories never end, they just fade away. If this one left you feeling uneasy, good. That means it stayed with you, just like those who vanished and never returned. Subscribe to Drifted and follow the stories that disappear into the dark.